Bienvenue sur En Cinémascope. Le cinéma en plan large, c'est pour vous.
Hi, hello.
Hello, Mrs. Winslet. Hello to you in LA from here in Belgium. Thank you very much for giving me this interview. I represent a media outlet called En Cinémascope. First of all, I want to thank you very much for this movie, for Lee Miller.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for saying that.
What made you decide to accept the leading role in Lee Miller? What made you make the decision, I'm gonna go for it?
So the idea to put the film together was mine. So nobody offered me the part. I just grabbed it. And the first thing I did was I went to meet her son, Anthony Penrose. This is way back in 2015. And I knew that it was very important to form a relationship with him. I wanted for him to trust me. I wanted him to know that I was going to be respectful of his story and who his mother was. I wanted to honor her and respect her. I wanted to share her story with people who may never, ever have heard of her and who may have never known how important her work was. And I also wanted to redefine how she was described in history. When you Google Lee Miller, it may now say something different, but what it used to say was ex-muse and former lover of Man Ray, former Vogue cover girl, ex-model.
She's more than that, right? Way more than that.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
These were things in her life in her 20s. You know, she was a model for 3 or 4 years. She hated being a model. Why is it that we seem so obsessed to always describe women of prominence alongside their love life? It makes me crazy. We don't do that to the men at all. Right. Lee became this phenomenal trailblazing woman. She had the courage that matched and excelled beyond the courage of any man I've ever come across in my life. You know, her determination to go to the front line, to bear witness, to document the truth, to be the visual voice for victims of conflict whose stories may otherwise have never been told. You know, she really gave us access to that world of what we now know to be reportage photography. That was Lee. She was part of that movement. You know, were it not for her, we might not have access to that very unique female gaze that she had. She wasn't photographing the soldiers and the fighting and the tanks and the bombs and the bloodshed. She was looking into the corners, into the shadows, and she was documenting what was happening to the victims, the innocent people, the women and the children. And she believed that those stories deserved to be told and never forgotten. And that takes a really selfless person to be able to do that. And that's who Lee Miller was. And that was why I wanted to tell her story. I wanted to make sure that people discover her maybe this way, on her terms, for who she really was. That really, really mattered.
Thank you, and you did it brilliantly, of course. I do think it was really amazing.
Thank you.
How close are you to Lee Miller? Do you recognize yourself in her to some extent, maybe?
Yes, I do. You know, I was so inspired by her, but I also really, you know, I recognize that same determination, you know, that she wouldn't take no for an answer. I'm not very good at that. I don't take no for an answer. I really don't. And if I get a real, you know, like bee in my bonnet, as we say in England, you know, or I get a real like bit between my teeth, you know, I really go after it. I have a very powerful streak of injustice in me in the same way that Lee does. So yeah, a lot of similarities between myself and Lee.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
Nice to meet you too. Thank you.
Retrouvez-nous sur encinémascope.be et sur les réseaux sociaux. Bon film!